Where was the Kanem Bornu Empire? Welcome to the Sankofa Pan-African series. Please subscribe to the channel if you've not yet done so. And don't forget to turn on your notification button. Thank you. Now, the next empire which emerged as a major one in West Africa after Songhai was Kanem-Borno. It is believed that this empire originated from somewhere between Lake Chad and the Bahr el Ghazal in the region of Kanem in modern-day Chad. Initially, it started out as two independent kingdoms, the states of Kanem and Bornu. These two kingdoms were made up primarily of agriculturists and pastoralists, and consisted of various ethnic groups, most of who were skilled in ironworking techniques and horsemanship. Now, the two kingdoms then merged into one. It is believed that by the 11th century, their rulers were Islamized. According to Lange, Humai, the founder of the Seifawa dynasty, who ruled between 1075 and 1080, was able to become ruler of Kanem with the help of a pro-Islam faction in the Kanem court. Now, the rulers of Kanem were therefore among the earliest to be Islamized in sub-Saharan Africa. Kanem-Bornu quickly developed an overwhelmingly Islamic culture, and according to Bakindo, the ruling classes undertook the Hajj and were committed to building mosques in the country. Now, Islam was the keystone of the political life of Kanem-Bornu, and this was marked by the change of dynasty between the Dugawa, who were ousted by the Seifawa in the 11th century when Humai came to power. The expansionist policy of the kingdom was also fueled by Islam, and the conquest of other kingdoms was justified by the claim that because they were non-Muslims, they were infidels and they needed to be converted to Islam. Similar to the arguments that Christian crusaders made, by declaring that non-Christians were infidels and needed to be converted. Now, according to Smith, Islam also determined the ways states were created. The rulers of this period claimed to be descended from a Yemenite ancestor, the 7th century figure Saif ibn Di Yazan of Himyar. Now, also, since around the 15th century, the head of the empire, known as the Mai, took the title of Caliph. And under the Seifawa dynasty, the throne was believed to be the cradle of Islam. As such, the Mais who ruled relied on Islamic advisors, and their power was expected to be guided by the prescriptions of the Sharia, the set of Islamic law known as the Sharia. One of the reasons that scholars suggest for the fabrication of a Muslim religious ancestry, which some trans-Saharan African rulers started claiming, was a way of aligning themselves with Arabia, not only through religion, but also through kinship. Now, according to some historians, the merging of Kanem-Bornu gave birth to the ethnic group that we now know as Kanuri, and the Kanuri language became the lingua franca of the empire. The empire evolved into a major diplomatic power in the Sahara with significant links with the Muslim world. So due to its location also at the crossroads between Northern Africa and Sub-Saharan Africa, it benefited from trade contacts with different parts of Africa. At its height, Kanem-Borno covered some of present-day Chad and went as far as modern southern Libya, eastern parts of the Republic of Niger, northeastern Nigeria, and northern Cameroon. The empire's conquest of Tripoli in 1551 gave it access to Ottomans, who it hired as mercenaries because they had firearms that it needed to use to keep conquering its neighbors. The alliance helped its conquest of other territories south and west of Borno. The empire also relied on its 10,000 strong cavalry and highly skilled horsemen for conquest and slave raids. Kanem Bornu peaked during the reign of Idris Aluma, who ruled between 1571 and 1603. Idris Aluma was a military tactician and diplomat, and he had strong diplomatic ties with a lot of other major powers of the day like Egypt, Tripoli, and the Ottoman Empire. His major adversaries were the Tuareg, Hausa, Tubu, and the Bulala. Some of these groups kept fighting back to resist conquests. Even though some of them were already Muslims, they kept resisting conquest by Idris Aluma and the Kanem Bornu Empire. The empire then started losing hold of some of its territories in the desert and on the eastern side of Lake Chad to Tuaregs and Tubus from the north during the 18th century. The major threat to Kanem Bornu came in 1808 when Usman Dan Fodio led a Fulani jihad with the intention of conquering and integrating Bornu into the Sokoto Caliphate. Resistance to this attack was led by Mohammed El-Kanemi, who successfully defended the empire and won a military, diplomatic, and religious battle against Usman Dan Fodio. So Usman Dan Fodio, like I said, a Fulani, was descended has been described, as a mystic, philosopher, and revolutionary reformer. Being a Muslim, El-Kanemi did not see any reason why a jihad should have been waged against his empire, since the citizens were already ardently practicing Islam. El-Kanemi subsequently took the title of Shehu of Borno. The Kanem Bornu Empire also continued to make progress towards becoming a center of Islamic culture. The rulers built mosques and undertook pilgrimages to Mecca, and Islam continued to play an important political role in the empire. And like I said earlier, it was used as an excuse for the empire's expansionist policies. The rulers of the empire used Islam to justify the conquests of their neighbors by claiming they were doing so in order to convert them to Islam. Now, there was no attempt to separate religion from the state because the rulers depended on Islamic advisors and on the Sharia laws for legal issues. In addition to tributes collected from states which were under it, and the continued trade in horses, for which the empire was well known, it also expanded the trade in salt. Salt from the empire was sold throughout the central Sudan, where it was used in the textile industry and for medicinal and culinary purposes. Other products like cotton, natron, kola nuts, ivory, ostrich feathers, and hides were exported from the empire. Now, unfortunately, another source of income for this empire was slave trade. While in theory Muslims could not enslave other Muslims, the empire of Kanem-Bornu undertook military expeditions during which it raided and captured its neighbors. Captives were then sold and transported through caravans across the Sahara to North Africa, which was now predominantly under the Moors. Other captured people were transported and sold to countries in the Middle East. Slave trade generated profits for the rulers of this empire and helped them hold on to power. The regular trans-Saharan trade in slaves, which supplied human beings through markets in the Lake Chad region to end users in North Africa and the Middle East, seems to have been established only after the rise of Islam in the sub-region. It is believed that about 2/3 of the slaves exported northward from Kanem-Bornu were women and young girls destined to meet the domestic and sexual demands of North African Moors and Middle Eastern households. The dynasty which El-Kanemi founded in Borno was attacked by a Sudanese warlord in 1893. This brought an end to the independence of the empire. By the 19th century, what was left of the empire was divided between the British as part of the Nigerian colony, while Germany took the rest as part of their colony of Cameroon. Of course, Germany lost the hold of what they initially had when Borno became reunified under the British in Nigeria after the First World War. Thanks for watching. Please continue to send us your comments and questions. Send them to our community page, and don't forget to share our videos. See you next time.